Ever been totally smitten with someone? Like they're completely captivating, but the closer you get, the more you realize something's not quite adding up.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
It's like a moth to a flame. You just can't help but be drawn in, even if you know you might get burned.
Exactly. And that push and pull, that allure of the unknown, is at the heart of what we're diving into today.
Ooh, sounds juicy. What's the story this time?
We're cracking open Balzac's Sarrasine, a novella that throws us headfirst into a world of art, obsession, and a whole lot of mystery.
Balzac, you say? Always up for a bit of intrigue.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Imagine this. Ernest John Sarrasine, a sculptor so passionate it consumes him, becomes utterly fixated on Zambinella, a captivating singer shrouded in an almost ethereal aura.
A singer, you say? I'm already hooked.
Wait till you hear how Balzac describes them. He paints this picture of luminous skin, eyes that didn't receive but emitted light.
Whoa, hold on. Eyes that didn't receive but emitted light. That's some next level imagery right there.
Oh, right. And that's not all. Balzac goes on to describe Zambinella's voice as fresh and silvery as a thread the slightest breath can shape.
Okay, now I totally get why this sculptor was obsessed. That's some serious sensory overload.
Right. And it's this obsession, this relentless pursuit of uncovering Zambinella's true nature that really sets the stage for some fascinating philosophical exploration.
Ooh, you know I love it when things get philosophical. Who's doing the analyzing this time?
Well, buckle up because we're bringing in Michel Serres, a philosopher of science, no less.
Wait, hold up. A philosopher of science tackling a love-struck artist's tale. Now that's what I call thinking outside the box.
That's Serres for you. Always up for challenging our assumptions and connecting seemingly disparate ideas.
I'm all ears. What does Serres have to say about this whole artist-muse dynamic in Sarrasine?
Well, he uses this seemingly straightforward love story to delve into some pretty profound concepts like duality and the very nature of creation itself.
Yeah, okay, I'm officially intrigued. How does he even begin to connect those dots?
He starts by highlighting this secret poetry he believes lies at the heart of all art forms.
Secret poetry, you say? Now you're really talking my language. But what does that even mean in this context? It sounds awfully abstract.
Think of it like this. Have you ever heard a song that just moved you to your core?
Oh, all the time. Music is my jam. It's like a direct line to my soul.
Exactly. But if you tried to explain why that particular song resonated with you so deeply, it'd be tough.
Oh, totally. It's like trying to explain what falling in love feels like. Words just don't do it justice.
Precisely. And that's what Serres is getting at. You can point to the melody, the lyrics, the instruments used, but there's an essence there that defies simple explanation.
So this secret poetry he's talking about, it's like the intangible it factor that makes art so powerful, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Exactly. And Serres argues that Zambinella, in all their mysterious glory, embodies that very idea. Their beauty, their voice, their whole persona is captivating, but there's always this sense that there's something more lurking beneath the surface.
Ooh, just like that elusive secret poetry he's talking about. I'm starting to see the connection here. So, we've got this obsessed artist, a captivating but mysterious muse. What else is Balzac throwing into the mix?
Well, to make matters even more intriguing, Zambinella is closely tied to the wealthy and incredibly secretive Lanti family.
Oh, come on. A wealthy and secretive family. You've got to be kidding me. This is like something straight out of a soap opera. Balzac really knew how to spin a yarn.
He did. And it's here that Serres starts to draw some compelling parallels between the narrative and larger philosophical concepts.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay some philosophical wisdom on me.
He suggests that Zambinella, who we later discover is a castrato.
Whoa, wait a minute. A castrato? You're not kidding, right? Talk about a plot twist.
Right. Well, Serres posits that the castrato figure, in all its complexity, represents something he calls a neutral element.
A neutral element. Okay, now you're just messing with me. What does that even mean?
Think of it this way. The castrato, by its very nature, defies easy categorization. It disrupts our traditional understandings of gender and identity.
Ah, okay. So it's like the castrato figure throws a wrench into our neat little boxes of male and female.
Exactly. And Serres argues that it's precisely this defiance of categorization that makes the castrato such a potent symbol. It's not just about gender ambiguity, though that's definitely a part of it. It's more about what happens when we encounter something that challenges our pre-existing notions of what's normal or acceptable.
But like the castrato figure forces us to confront our own biases and assumptions.
Exactly. And this ties into a really fascinating concept that Serres calls excluding exclusion. But Maybe we should save that for after a quick break to let everyone process all this. All right, so before the break, we were starting to unpack Serres' concept of excluding exclusion. Where were we?
Well, we were talking about how the castrato figure in Balzac's Sarracine kind of explodes our tidy categories of male and female. And Serres argues that this act of defiance, this excluding exclusion, is actually where true creativity flourishes.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it, but walk me through it again. How does excluding exclusion lead to creative abundance? It seems kind of, counterintuitive.
Right. It's like saying that by breaking the rules, we actually create new possibilities. And in a way, that's exactly what Serres is getting at. He's saying that true art, the kind that really pushes boundaries and shakes things up, doesn't play by the usual rules.
So it's not about fitting into predefined boxes, but rather about breaking free from those constraints.
Precisely. It's about embracing the unexpected, the unconventional, even the seemingly abnormal. And Serres argues that the castrato figure, because it defies easy categorization, opens up this space for that kind of radical creativity to emerge.
It's like the castrato figure throws a wrench into our neat little systems of meaning-making and forces us to reevaluate our assumptions about art, identity, maybe even beauty itself.
You've got it. And that reevaluation, that questioning of the status quo, is where things get really interesting. Because it's in those moments of disruption, when our comfortable categories break down, that we're forced to really see things anew.
It reminds me of those optical illusions where you can see two different images depending on how you look at it. Serres is kind of urging us to shift our perspective and see the multiple layers at play.
Exactly. And that's what makes Sarracine such a brilliant example of this concept. Because on the surface, it's a story about obsession and desire. But beneath that, it's grappling with these much larger questions about art, identity, and the limits of human perception.
It's not just about how we perceive art, right? This idea of excluding exclusion seems like it could apply to how we approach the world and the people in it.
100%. Think about it. How often do we limit ourselves and others by trying to fit everyone and everything into neat little boxes? Male or female, straight or gay, liberal or conservative. It's like we're obsessed with drawing these hard lines. But what if, like Sarah suggests, true beauty, true understanding even, lies in embracing the spaces between those lines?
It's a radical thought, but I think you're onto something. And speaking of layers, Balzac himself seems to play with this idea of duality throughout Sarracine, almost mirroring the structure of Serres' philosophical analysis.
Oh, absolutely. The novella is full of these contrasting forces: life and death, male and female, artist and artwork, illusion and reality. They're constantly intertwining, reflecting each other, making us question where one ends and the other begins.
Like how Zambinella, as they age, becomes almost a living statue, a far cry from the vibrant, almost ethereal figure that initially captivated Sarracine. It's both a poignant reminder of the passage of time and a reflection on how our perceptions of beauty change.
And that ties directly into how Serres examines the interplay between different art forms. The statue of the aged Zambinella becomes a kind of mirror to the sculptures Sarracine tries to create. Both are attempts to capture a fleeting moment of beauty, to hold on to something that's ultimately transient.
And it's like they both represent this very human longing for permanence in a world that's constantly in flux, for something solid and unchanging in the face of inevitable decay and transformation.
You said it. And then, of course, there's music, which adds a whole other dimension to this exploration of art and duality.
You mean how Marianina singing in the novella seems to summon the ghost of the old castrato, almost like she's breathing life back into those faded memories? It's almost as if music itself has the power to transcend time.
That's exactly what Serres argues. He says that music, unlike other art forms, can actually resurrect the past, evoking emotions and experiences that transcend our physical reality.
So it's not just about remembering the past, it's about re-experiencing it, feeling its emotional impact all over again.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, is this resurrection through art something we experience on a smaller scale in our own lives? Like when a familiar song catches you off guard and suddenly you're transported back to a specific time and place. Or when you walk into an art gallery and a painting seems to capture a feeling you didn't even know you had.
It's like these moments of artistic resonance give us a glimpse into that elusive secret poetry Serres was talking about. They remind us that we're all connected not just to each other, but to something larger than ourselves. It's mind-blowing to think that a philosopher of science, of all people, is drawing such profound and poetic meaning from a novella. What's your take on Serres' approach here? It's not exactly your typical literary analysis.
That's what makes his work so refreshing. He's not afraid to color outside the lines, to connect the dots between seemingly disparate fields like art, science, philosophy, and even pop culture. For Serres, it's all connected.
It's like he's giving us permission to think differently, to find those unexpected connections and see the world through new lenses.
Absolutely. He's all about embracing that spirit of playful exploration and discovery, about breaking down the artificial barriers we've erected between different disciplines.
So instead of approaching art, or even life itself, with a dissecting scalpel, maybe we should come to it with a sense of childlike wonder, ready to be amazed.
Now you're speaking Serres' language. He truly believed that it's in those moments of openness, when we let go of our need for definitive answers and embrace the mystery and complexity of it all, that we truly begin to understand the secret poetry that binds us all.
That's such a beautiful thought. But before we get too lost in the philosophical weeds here, I want to circle back to Saracen and his less than happy ending. What are we supposed to make of his downfall? Is this a cautionary tale about the dangers of unbridled passion?
It's easy to see it that way, right? To view Saracen as a victim of his own obsession. But what if there's more to it than that? What if his story is actually a reflection of the struggles we all face as human beings?
So we're back. And I'm still pondering this idea of Saracen as more than just a cautionary tale. I mean, it's hard not to feel for the guy, right?
Totally. He gets dealt a rough hand. But you're right, there's a bigger conversation here about how we as humans grapple with things we don't understand.
It's like we're hardwired to categorize, to label, to make sense of the world around us, even when it comes to something as messy and complex as love.
Absolutely. And Serres is pushing us to ask ourselves, what if, in that mad dash to impose order, we miss out on the beauty of what lies beyond those categories?
It's like we get so caught up in checking boxes, male or female, beautiful or not, real or illusion, that we forget to appreciate the individual, the unique essence of what we're encountering.
Right. And that's what makes Saracen's story so tragic. He's so blinded by his idealized image of Zambonella, so desperate to fit them into this box of perfect woman, that he completely misses the bigger picture.
He's literally blinded, right? When he finally sees Zambonella for who they truly are, it's like his whole world shatters.
Exactly. And it's a harsh reminder that sometimes clinging too tightly to our preconceived notions, to our need for control and certainty, can actually blind us to the beauty and complexity of the world as it truly is.
It makes you think about all the ways, even in our own lives, we might be guilty of the same thing. Holding on to expectations, judging too quickly, refusing to see beyond the surface.
Oof, yeah. It's a sobering thought for sure. But there's also a sense of hope in Sarah's message, isn't there? Like, if we can learn to let go of those rigid categories, to approach the world with more curiosity and less judgment, then maybe.
Maybe we can experience a deeper, more authentic connection with art, with each other, even with ourselves.
Exactly. It's about embracing the mystery, finding beauty in the unexpected, and allowing ourselves to be surprised by what we discover.
That's a perfect note to end on, but wow, talk about a lot to unpack. We've covered a lot of ground today, from obsession and illusion to duality and excluding exclusion.
Right. Who knew Balzac and a philosopher of science could make such a fascinating pair?
It just goes to show that sometimes the most rewarding journeys are the ones that take us beyond our comfort zones, that challenge our assumptions and open our minds to new possibilities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And, for our listeners who are eager to keep exploring these ideas,
definitely check out Balzac's Saracen and dive into Michel Serres' brilliant analysis in L'Hermaphrodite. Trust us, it's a wild ride.
You won't regret it. And until next time, remember, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep those intellectual gears turning. You never know what hidden connections you might uncover.
Here's to embracing the mystery.